Thank you, sir. So I would like to tell some introduction about sir. Sir has completed his Bachelor of Engineering from Karnataka University, Dharwad, and sir completed his Master of Science MS in Quality Management from BITS Pilani. So sir is having 16 plus years of experience as a senior programmer. Right now, sir is head at Car Wings. So he is a head of professional services in Car Wing company. So today sir will be guiding us with respect to Agile SDLC seminar. So kindly, it will be a most interactive session. So try to cooperate, don't make a noise, okay sir? We welcome you to this our college. So you can continue with the session. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you and good morning everyone.
Yes, sir.
And some corrections what Bhageshwar madam has given about my as an intro. I'm not a programmer. Okay, I come from a program management part of it, my journey. My journey always have been throughout it is about from a business analyst. I started my career as a database person and then moved on to be a client facing roles, moved on to be a database side from to the business analyst, then become a product owner, product manager, and as recently as I'm working as a program manager. And Carving is our company, and we are based out in Bangalore, Belgium, second office in Davangere. We are opening it in next 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, so this is just about our company, what we do, and we are around 180 plus members team. We are basically into IT technology and services. So I'm not spending too much of time on this slide because I'm not part of to promote my company. So I'll just move on quickly. Okay. So this is today's session. I'm not a lecturer by profession. I have never addressed the students. I have been to many seminars as a pre-sales, as a sales pitch, or for a marketing side for our company, representing our company. So hence I request you to be make a noise, but noise to ask the questions, noise to have interactions, noise to understand from each other. You can ask me any questions about this topic because I have been in this industry for almost 2 decades, working on the Agile especially for more than a decade. Okay, so I don't know definitions as per your books, but I can tell you what is a practical implementation, what are the challenges faced, and how do we overcome in any software development industry. Okay, so hence make a noise, write noise, asking questions, and hence I was looking for some place to write because all my slides are not about theory. It's about how do we interact, how do we engage ourselves, and how do we connect, how do we understand, leverage from each other's experiences. Okay, good. Okay. Let me go back to the slide. So today's topic given to me was Agile as a SDLC. So I have added additional word in the bracket as a Scrum. How many of you have studied? I think this is the students of a 4th and 6th semesters, I believe, right? Have you gone through a software engineering course?
Yes, sir.
Is there the 4th semester or which? 4th semester, okay. And you might have heard already about SDLC, right? Is it an interesting topic? Is it an interesting subject? Let me be frank. I can ask your lecturers to go away for a few minutes if that is a boring subject. But did you really enjoy SDLC? No. How many of you know? Raise hand. Okay, how many of you say yes? Very few. That's good. That's good. Because this is boring. Okay. So let's begin. Why this is boring, right? That's why my next question on the slide I lost. I said that okay, I already revealed what I wanted to say. So SDLC, why it is a boring? You have something to say? Okay. So SDLC because it's more of something which is everyone is trying to say some theory. Okay, it is nothing as a Pythagoras theorem. Okay, this rule works, this thumb rule works. There is nothing to memorize it, nothing to say that write it on a formula, this works, this doesn't work. No, everybody says that what works best in your project, what works best in your industry, go and do it. That's how. So somebody says that I wake up early in the morning, I go to jogging and then come to office. That's what somebody's best. But some other person does wake up late, go to office, and then evening they go for a gym or go for a walking. That works best for them. Same as SDLC. There is no thumb rule that has to be done this way. If you go to a programming, C has to be written, codes has to be written in a certain format. The function has to be called. After every function, you write a comment. Why do you write a comment? So that it becomes easy for a maintenance. Why this code was written is understood even if you are not there in that project. If somebody else takes over, it makes sense. So there is some method in writing a code. Okay, there is some logic why you need to write a certain kind of if statement. Logic why you need to write a certain kind of a code format. How do you need to debug? There is a set formula kind of a thing. But in SDLC there is nothing set formula. Okay, you can come up with your own SDLC and write a paper on that, and it becomes a industry standard. So that is how it is SDLC. So many people, especially youngsters like you, may not be interested. Okay, but let's see after this session or during these sessions, how can we make it something interesting? Okay, that's the whole intent. So it's not about to learn about what is Scrum and SDLC. How does this, in a practical way, in an IT industry, why this is important to know. Okay, I am a coder. Why should I know about SDLC? I am a developer, or I am a database guy. I am a data scientist. I am an IT operation person. I just manage the servers. Why do I need to SDLC? How does that impact my day-to-day operations? Right? That's the whole intent, that we are thinking in a silo. How do we stop thinking about a silo and start thinking it as a team? And how do we make sure that our contribution is to the end goal of a success of a project or success of that application development? That's the whole intent. Okay. I already briefly discussed about why this session. Now let's start with the problem statement. And as I said in the beginning, this is an interactive session. It's not a monologue, so be participating. I have a problem statement, and this is a problem statement which we see daily in our offices. Customer comes and says that I am a customer and you guys are IT company professionals. Let's play a role play. And as a customer, I come to you and ask the question that I want a mobile app to be built which expand my business. Okay? Is this clear problem statement? Any questions on this problem statement? That's good. Now, what needs to be understood to build an app? You guys are developers. You guys are people who's gonna do the coding. Now, I'm a business guy. I just know how to grow my business, and I knew I can grow my business by having an app. That's my thought process. Now, what questions or what kind of information you need to develop an app?
User requirements.
Okay, what's requirement means? That's a good thing. Requirement about what?
User. So what I
Okay, there is a technology to be used. Technology. Which version? It's a part of, again, version is part. Okay, let's put it in a version in a bracket. Somebody said requirement. What was that requirement about?
So customer requirements.
Okay, fair, good. Customer requirement. I am your customer, right? Okay. What else you will ask me? Team planning. Okay, planning. Let's say planning. What else? Will you start building based on this one-liner problem statement?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Right? That's at least clear to all of us. That's good. Somebody well said that requirement, customer requirement. Customer requirement is already mentioned. मान लो कि मैं पूरा अनपढ़ आदमी हूँ, मुझे पता है मेरे को मुझे बिजनेस ग्रो करना है. I just need to grow my business. I am today making 1 lakh rupees. I want to make 2 lakh rupees by the end of this year. Now, what is that? You should ask me a question, right? What is that required to build an app? System requirement. Okay. System requirement is part of an technology. When you call a system requirement, somebody said a version, somebody said a OS. Okay, all these are part of the technology. Features, but what feature? Huh? What feature? Okay, that something is again a customer requirement. I will put it as a feature. That's a good thing. What else?
More connectivity to the customer.
Very good. Can you deep dive next level? That's you are right. Huh. What is that more connectivity to the customer means?
By connecting the database of the customer and sending them the offers through the application.
You are correct, but you went too ahead in terms of a design part of it. I will mark that as another activity as a design. Okay. Design. So when I am coming with the app, okay, now you have a Flipkart app. Very good. So what you call a customer friendly is a UX, right? UI, UX primarily. Flipkart app. So Flipkart app can open in multilingual, right? Not just in English, but I have a territory targeted as a Belgaum, Bijapur, Hubli. Now, you should come up with an ask and question to a client that, hey Mukund, your target audience is this much. Your target audience is of what age group? Okay, are they old aged? Are they middle aged? Are they kids? If they are kids, the best way to promote is by having the cartoons. If they are like you, youngsters, have it as something very interactive in nature, which is a very responsive in nature. You guys are so busy, so fast that you don't have a time to spend 2 seconds listening to a lecture, but you want to spend 2 minutes on a mobile phone, right? So you guys are fast in nature. So you need a very quick responsive design applications. Okay? You need to know the target audience. So I am a businessman, but when I put up this question statement, you need to ask me a question to build an app. क्या ज़रूरत है? कहाँ पे आप टारगेट करने वाले हो? क्यों टारगेट करने वाले हो? Is your customers are a rich, high net worth individuals, or they are a middle class, or they are people budget friendly? So you need to ask those questions, and based on that, your UI, UX, and the features will come into picture. Post that, your technology. I don't know technology. I just know how to grow my business, as I said, right? Technology. You should say that, sir, your target audience are middle class people. So definitely they are not iOS users. Why do you want to build an iOS app? Because they are not going to use it. Your customers are middle class, so they use only Android. So let's have the Android build application, right? So you need to help customer. As a technologist, it should not be that I gave something to as a problem statement and you start coding it. It never happens in a real-time scenario. Okay? It might happen in a college projects where you are chosen a project and you start working on a coding because you already has set project to decided project. But in a real-time world, you need to be interacting with the customers. Some of the skills, I might deviate from a topic, but some of the skills, you might be excellent in coding. You might be very, very good in understanding the applications, understanding the entire system architecture. But if you cannot talk to a customer, if you cannot understand their pain point, then I think you have not crossed entire path. You need to be able to communicate with the customer, understand their pain point, put yourself into their shoes. Okay? It might sound like a cloud thought or something which is not a realistic. But think a simple way that if I'm a avid jogger or I'm a avid walker, okay, I cannot walk on these shoes. Okay, I need to take appropriate shoes which have the cushions at the right place, and so that it bring my pace, right? This only Nike can do it, or Nike can do it, or Adidas can do it. Why they can do it? They understood the athlete's problem. Okay, if they were just a good shoes and everybody has learned how to be a best cushioning foam they can put it on the shoes, would they have sold it? No, they couldn't have it unless they understood that where appropriately the cushion has to happen. Someone has a flat feet. For a flat feet, they need to give appropriate cushioning at this place. This needs to be learned. Only when they can learn it, when they know the customer problem by talking to them. That's why it is important that for building any app, for that matter any application, forget about app, even web application, client-based application, server-side applications, you need to understand the customer problem. Okay, think from them. And that's why the communication and knowing what they want to achieve at the end of a day, that is important. Okay? Consider now, hypothetically you have built a good app. What you will do it after the building of an app? Obviously. Then
So we'll deploy in the customer's environment.
okay, deploy. That's correct. Then maintenance. That's correct.
Providing updates.
Why these answers came fast? Why not the earlier ones? Earlier ones took a time. Either it was maybe a not communication well from my side, or you did not understand the first half of the application. What was missing, you think? Sorry? Be loud. First half of the problem you didn't understand. That's what is right. Okay, I think it's a general problem that, not a problem I would say, general tendency that most of us, even when I was a student, my only thought process is that how can I write a better code? Okay, how can I better test it? I never thought that okay, why should I write a better code to solve the customer problem, right? End goal is that even though you might have written a beautiful written code which has no bugs, everything is good. But what is the use if the customer is not using that application? Right? The end goal of writing a code, even if you have a bug, in my opinion, practical way, even if you have a bug, it's fine. It's fine. As long as it helps the end user in certain way to perform their day-to-day ask or a day-to-day activity. Alright? So you are right that what needs to be done after testing and deployment and the post support and maintenance. Can you arrange them in a sequence?
Yes.
Now, which one goes first and which one goes last?
Customer requirement is first and deployment is last.
Now second.
Planning. Design.
Technology.
Okay.
Deployment. Maintenance.
That's it. I think we can close this session. This is what is SDLC. What is known in the SDLC? Right? SDLC, as the name stands, software development life cycle. We have, everyone has a life cycle. As I gave the example that I wake up early in the morning, I go for a swimming or a jogging, and then go to office, and then I end my day early by 9:30, 10 p.m. That's my schedule. Somebody else has a reverse schedule. That doesn't mean that the other person is wrong. Okay? He just adjusted to his work schedule. He might wake up late, he might end up late in the night, but he does his workout in the late in the evening. That's absolutely fine, as long as he's keeping his health and mind healthy, right? So there is no right or wrong in the SDLC. Just keep that in mind. It all needs to be tuned, fine-tuned, recorrected based on your circumstances, based on the project you are doing. I think this question is inappropriate now, but since I have it on a slide, I get to ask it. Why it needs to be in a given sequence? what happens if I do it reverse way or something I pick up in the middle? I start by planning.
So hierarchy of SDLC will disturb.
I don't care. As I said, SDLC is I am defining. Nobody has said that SDLC has to be this way. It is my adjustment. I am fine even if it has to be disturbed to achieve my certain goals faster and quicker. I am fine to disturb it.
So there is always a right way to achieve something.
Ah.
So that's why that's
So what
highlighted in the
happens?
setting.
That's good. That's a good discussion. What happens if I start directly from a design?
So without requiring without requirements.
That's correct. That's simple, as simple. So I cannot start from a testing when there is no code in place. Huh? What I will test it? Simple. I cannot design when there is no requirement in place. What I will design for what I will design. Right? That's as simple. So this is no brainer here. It doesn't require any thought process, any learning, or any reading of a book. It's just that if you know sequence of events, it just happens. Right? We already discussed this. So name a different phases of software development. Name.
Waterfall.
Fill out.
So different phases. So these are the phases.
Exactly. So why is that so much of debate or thought process? These are the phases. Somebody might mix the planning and design together.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody might mix this one. Okay. Some else might fix all these three. Okay. It's just based on that. If I am building a large application for a defense, I am gonna create a software for launching a satellite. Okay, there are thousands of people involved. Then I cannot manage the thousands of people in a single room, and I need to be dividing their work. So hence I might split them. But if I am developing a small website, say for your college, what you need is a website, basically information, static information. How many students are there in the 2, 4, 6 semesters? How many faculty is there? Faculty profile. Maybe a good looking photo and some kind of a 90 seconds video. That's it, right? So what else you need for a college profile? A simple website to attract the students. So there you can combine all these phases. It's based on, it's again, as I said, taking an example of a school or a college website who are launching to a commercial missiles or satellites. You need to break down these applications or the phases in a various steps based on the size of the team. Okay, project reality. I'm still not into a topic of Agile as SDLC. We are still doing a kind of a prerequisites or understanding the background of it. You all have done the projects in your semesters now?
So we are about to start.
Maybe the 6 semesters. Okay, what's your past history of a student? How many projects are failed? Not asking projects were successful. Everyone does the project by the end of a semester, right? How many projects failed? Any history? No project failure history? Or very little? Okay, let's quote it this way. There are less than 10% which are failed. Yeah? So then 90% are successful, right? Okay, now I think then you all need to be in a software industry because software industry statistics looks otherwise. If you go by these statistics, I don't know how much is readable. This is 2001 to 2015. 2001 to 2015, this statistics. Okay. As per that, 2001, there were around 40% of the projects were successful. Green indicates success. Red indicates challenge. I will not call it as a fail, but they are challenged. Okay. So then software industry is not even up to your marks. You guys are 90% success rate. Okay, whereas software industry success rate on an average is just 35% of the projects are successful. Okay, that means remaining 70% are challenged. When I say challenged, either they have not met the quality of a customer, they have not met the budget or the cost, they have not met the time. The project will not be successful. None of the software companies are run by government. Okay, so that is not like an Indian Oil Corporation, BPCL. If they start selling the petrol at now 100 rupees, but they start selling the petrol at 70 rupees, but the government will bail out them. Okay, even if they are making a loss, government will come and bail out. No, almost all the companies are private companies. They have to make a profit, else they will burn out a cash. As simple as logic. So hence, anything which is not completed within time, within budget, or customer has not accepted them, that's called a challenge. And those are comes under the 70% scenario. 70% of the cases projects are not met or lost one of these objectives. The reason for challenges. So nobody wants to analyze the success because success is there. Already I know it. How to do it, I know it. But how do I convert those 70% of the challenge project into a successful one? That is something we need to do a retrospective or something we need to deep dive. Why did it happen, right? Most of the customers' projects does not never released into a public. Okay. I don't know how many of your projects are real problem statement based, or it is just taken from some Google and done the projects. That could be the case with the fine tuning of some of the applications or some of the codes. Okay. But take an example of I have a problem of a home automation. I am trying to do a home automation. Okay. I did my only one room home automation where I can switch on, switch off lights, AC, fan, and my home theater. I could able to do this with the Google Mini. Okay, this is my I was trying to do at a time pass at a home, and I did that. But if I have to do it for the entire home, entire society, entire area, okay, if I keep on doing, there is no end. You need to stop and define a scope. If you don't define where you end it, what you need to achieve at an immediate goal, otherwise you will come up with a statement of I could never able to release my product. Okay? If you start with my room, I was happy and my room is automated, I go and do it everything on my mobile, I'm happy now. But if I try to do this for a society, home or larger area, it is never ending exercise. Right? So you need to release a product immediately to a customer, ask them to use it, ask them to give a feedback, then you get into a refinement mode. Okay? So most of the people do over engineering. This is what I call a over engineering. ये इससे भी अच्छा कोड लिख सकते हैं, भी इससे भी अच्छा हम और बड़ा कर सकते हैं. इसमें क्या होता है? You get lose the interest. People will also stop talking to you, or the customer stop talking to you. I have paid 1 lakh rupees, you are not showing any return on that money. Give me back the money. That's where the project will come into picture in real time. Desired quality is not achieved. Okay. I asked for a BCA website. You created a BCA website. That opens only in the laptop or a computer. What if I try to open in the mobile that does not have a responsive design? Okay. None of the students, none of you are now, I don't think so anybody is using a laptop to open a website. Most of you, 80% people, I believe, you check everything on a mobile. If you are not written the code in a responsive design way, the design quality is not met. So your target audience, the BCA college website has to be reaching out to these class of people is not met. So it has to be responsive design. That's why the desired quality is not achieved. That's one of the reasons for failure. Lack of fulfilling user requirements completely, even if it is already released. I released a product. I'm happy. So does it mean a success? No. One of the examples I recently faced with my bank. Bank now sends a OTP. You cannot do any money transfer without having a OTP. So that means there are two applications. One is I log into the applications on my laptop. Second, I get a OTP on my mobile. Last week, somehow my bank, I logged into the website, I entered the data, I asked for money to transfer to the X person. It was supposed to send to the OTP. My session timed out and then it is sending me OTP. What's the point? Right? When my session is live, that means within 3 to 5 seconds, expectation as a customer from that bank is 3 to 5 seconds it should send me a OTP. Else there's no use. My session is timing out, it will be sending me a OTP. Then how do I do the transaction completion? No way I can do the completion of transaction. They have went live, they are successfully sending the OTP, but there is no timing between them. That's exactly that you did every job, but that is not meeting my customer expectation. Exceeds budgets 30% of the estimated. This is on the industry data, so these are not generally in your theory books maybe. Anything which is exceeds, I need to have a 30% margin. In IT industry, my cost is not about like a factory. We set up a big factory. I need to have a big office area. These are not the case, right? My 60 to 70% of the cost is employee salaries. Okay, that's why you all are choosing the BCA. Right? Exactly. Why you need to see that 5 digit, 6 digit, 7 digit figures over a 5 to 10 years. That's the reason why most of you are choosing this. That's 30%. If I am not having a margin in running a company, then I am under loss, because my overhead cost is employee salary. Any employee staying on a bench is a cost of the company. They have to continue to pay the salary to the employee. So hence they keep generally a margin of 30+% of the margin. Missed deadlines, I will not go there. Again, it is just that I was supposed to. So take an example which I recently faced. We were doing a project for a big retail giant for a US. Okay? The season time is Christmas time. And they said it clearly in the beginning of January. They started a project. They said it that I need this project to be live by October, because post October, November, they wanted to test with the slow growth of a customer base who will be logging to the application. Okay? And then December suddenly peaks it up, and then comes down during the February time frame. Okay? That is the time. December, January are the high peak time, and they wanted to check the performance and its load during the December, January, and then slows down. So the idea is that the customer wanted this to be live by October, and we couldn't do it. So what's the point? Missed deadline. And if the customer is not able to generate a revenue, where he will pay for the project? That's as simple. So we went live in the December, and then system broke because of the high load. So in fact, we have to bear their cost. So we couldn't get anything there. Okay, now slowly we'll come to the topic. I don't know how much is interesting so far. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at least you are not sleeping good. Okay, so what is SDLC? This is the one-liner statement. I took it from a Google. Okay, and this is something I felt it is from a 1950s, 60s when software engineering was invented. In the 1950s, 60s, even the DOS did not existed. Currently, you can go to the chai shop and he does the billing in a billing counter, right? There's nothing, nowhere we do get an invoice or a bill on a handwritten. It's all a gone case now. So, but in the 50s, the scientists were doing the software engineering, they were writing up books, they were writing up publications. During that time, they thought, in my opinion, that methodology intended to build a high quality software. Okay? Anything I do, it has to be supreme quality, very high quality. There should not be no bugs, no errors. That was their intention. But in my opinion, other parameters which govern a practical scenario, okay, is budget, is time and scope, which we already discussed. I will not deep dive into that. If I am not doing the project, customers, take a very example of building a house. Okay, I as a customer came and asked you to build a house as an engineer. You said, okay, I will build a house. I have a budget of 10 lakh rupees. Okay, you said, okay, we will build a house 10 lakh. But you started building a house, then you told me that, okay, you need to have a granite, sir, it looks nice. You need to have the classic furniture, sliding doors, aluminum sheets. You came up with all the good quality of materials. You never told me that what the budget is going to be. I said yes, do it. And the budget went from a 10 lakh to 1 crore. Can I afford it? No, I cannot afford it. Same way, time. I need a house within 12 to 18 months period because I have a family of 4 members. But if somebody gives me a house after 40 years, where my family has grown to 20 people, and I am building a 2-bedroom house, what's the point? At the end, it's lost objective. Same way, scope. I am having a 4 members. I need a 2-bedroom house within 10 lakh rupees budget within 18 months period, 12 to 18 months period. If this is achieved, then the house is successful. If any of these parameters is gone, then the project is not successful. The same goes with the software. There are some criticals. What I gave the definition is 80% of the cases. There are some critical applications like defense. I gave an example of fighter jets, where you are writing the software for a fighter jet planes. Okay, you cannot make a mistake there. You cannot afford to make, even though it is going beyond scope, even though it is exceeding the budget, even though it is exceeding the time. Can you afford to have a few bugs in the fighter jets? Can you afford to have a few bugs in the satellites? Okay? Can you afford to have satellite X-ray machine? My bone is not broken. My cartilage is teared out. Okay? But I put a hand in X-ray machine. It shows my bone is broken. Is this an affordable bug? Nowhere. So there are. So as I said, SDLC is not a thumb rule. This works this way. No, it doesn't. It does not have any rules as such. SDLC is I would call it as a more of a culture. Do you want to follow it? And for some of the applications, as I gave the banking, इधर का इसका 1 लाख रुपए उसको 1 लाख रुपए गया चलता है भाई छोटा सा बग है चलेगा क्या नहीं चलेगा तो सिंपल है तो some of the applications it needs to be very stringent even though it crosses the budget cost time. Okay, any questions? I just wanted to be interactive from the beginning. I'm saying it. Any questions? I'll pause because I also need a break. Because I'm not used to giving a continuous lecture for 45 minutes, 1 hour. So, anything you wanted to know so far? Okay. Different type of SDLC. How many of you have gone through your books? All of them?
Yes, sir.
Gone through all of them. So do I need to explain?
It's fine, sir.
Not required. Okay, but still as I said, since I am here, I will explain it in a simple words. Okay. So waterfall method, this is most oldest. Sometime in the 1960s, I believe, or 70s, I don't know when it was. 1960s, 70s, still most widely used in the industry. People say, everybody in every company, if you go there, no, waterfall is a old method, we are now into agile, we want to do a scrum, we want to do iterative, we are following Kanban. They put all the jazzy pictures. But most of them do still waterfall. The mentality is still there. Most of us do waterfall. Because it is not just what I do in a company of 10 members, it is also the customer need to accept. Okay, if the customer is not ready to accept, then you cannot do anything. So you need to follow sometimes the waterfall. The prototyping is best for kind of projects like you do it at a college level. In fact, why at a college level? Even small projects you are doing it. Take example of Ather. How many of you know Ather?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's a battery powered two-wheeler, right? Where it all began the journey at IIT Chennai campus. How it began the journey? They just started with a small battery and then the idea of how to connect a battery and how to make this sure that how long this can run a vehicle. They did not have a beautiful body over it. That's a prototype. Have small battery, have small way to connect to the battery, to the accelerator, and then start it out. Okay, that's how it has started. Then over a period of a time, they bought in a design and built a good, beautiful looking body. So that's a prototype model. I have not done iterative model because that's a precursor to the Agile. Agile came into picture from the iterative model is what I understood. Spiral I have never done it. V-shaped model, is a I don't see it as a practical way, because V-shape, you are doing a high level design and you are doing a,
Testing.
it's kind of a V-shape. It's a
Testing and
V-shape.
testing.
You are doing a high level design, and during that time you need to define a functional test case. Okay, and then you are doing a low level design, that time you need to write a unit test case.
Unit test.
I don't know how it goes. When I am not written a code, I need to do the unit test case. Sorry, I don't know how it works it, but that's what is in the theory. Now comes the Agile, Scrum and the Kanban. This is interesting. Agile is a innovative. Innovative in the sense what works best for you. Okay? There is no thumb rule, as I already mentioned. And Scrum is one of the format of the methodology of the Agile. We will, next slide will present it how the Agile or a Scrum model works. But this helps you. Even in fact, you should try out in a college projects, okay, as an Agile model. Suppose 4 of you are doing the project and one person is writing a code. So does everybody has to write a code here? Nothing right? So while 4 people are there, one person is writing a code, one person is gathering a requirement, okay? They are documenting that requirement. The other person is testing it. Other person is deploying it. These are the 4 roles doing all these 6 activities. If you do this way, then that should be the ideal way of doing Agile, and that is the ideal way of how the projects are run in a corporate world. It is not that everybody does the coding, it is not that everybody does the testing, right? You should form a team of members who are distributed, who can do one kind of a role and distributed role. That may help you in terms of a good project learning experience from a industry or from an academic standpoint. Are we into the topic? What do you guys feel? Why?
Sir?
Why do you feel we are into a topic? Just because the title is Agile. We are still not there. From Agile as a SDLC, we are not there. But what we are learning is now why Agile. And I already say that this is not such an interesting topic in the beginning, right? Because it's more of a, looks like more of a theoretical, it looks like more of a non-practical. Hey, this is not my cup of a tea. This is not where I belong. What I have to contribute as an Agile person, as a Scrum Master. Have you heard of the word Scrum Master, Product Owner? These words are alien. Okay. We will come slowly there. Now, let's learn about Agile Manifesto. You have learned about a business requirement document, fit gap analysis, functional specification requirement document. These are familiar words to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. These are all what? What are these? These are a documentation, right? These are basically a documentation where you will write how the software should look like. Maybe you attach a screenshot, maybe you do a process map, you might be familiar, right? These are all a documentation. But does the documentation is really a working software? No, right? Documentation is a documentation. All your books are a documentation, right? Does that book, reading the book, you should convert it to some coding language. Then it becomes a practical to be used, right? That's exactly what Agile says. Okay? An individual and interaction over processes. So I should interact with you. We are not interacting now, right? Because unless I interact with you, I don't know what you want to listen. Unless you ask me a question, okay, I will not be able to answer and read your mind and answer the question, right? It should be interaction. That's why I said that you try out your project by having a one person who's a developer, one person who gets a requirement, then have that interaction. Then you know that, okay, what she is talking about a customer, what he is talking about, how the best code will be written. That is what Agile says. In the waterfall, if you go, everything is a documentation. तुमने बग डाला है क्या बगजिला में, तुम्हारा BRD डॉक्यूमेंट है क्या, तुम्हारा प्रोसेस मैप है क्या, these are the questions asked in a kind of a waterfall model. But in Agile, we sit together and form a team and then talk each other directly. Now, don't bring too much of a process, don't bring too much of a tools to overhead the delay of the project. Okay, that's how the Agile Manifesto. These are the 4 manifestos. These are the 4 objectives of Agile, and this is all Agile. Nothing beyond this Agile goes anywhere. Customer collaboration over contracts. We see that, as I already given the example, that my problem statement is building an app, mobile app. This is my problem statement. Before building an app, if you go and ask him to sign a contract, sign an NDA with me, sign a SOW, unless you sign this contract, unless you pay this money, I'm not going to work for you. If you bring lot of bureaucracy, then that is not a good. Because I will shy away from you and say that, hey, too much of a documentation, too much of a contract negotiations, let me go to somewhere else. Okay, that's how it becomes. So, responding to a change or following a plan, as I go, I launched my application in Belgaum, but then I thought, okay, more than Belgaum, the Kolhapur could be a better location because of its proximity to a lot of business community. I want to launch an application into a Kolhapur. Now the language has to be changed from Kannada to Marathi, right? That's a change, and this change I only observed when I first built up a Kannada application. Then I said, okay, I'm making a few thousands here, but if I move my business to the Kolhapur, I'm going to take a few lakhs. That's a responding to a change over sticking to a following plan. Then you cannot say that, hey Mukund, तुमने पहले बोला था कि बेलगाम के बाद बीजापुर जाना है, नहीं कोल्हापुर नहीं जाना है, बीजापुर ही जाएंगे. अरे भाई मैं पैसा दे रहा हूँ, मेरा मर्जी, मैं कोल्हापुर जाऊँ या बीजापुर जाऊँ, right? As simple. So now, being a client or software developer, I should make a change. Okay, customer is asking not to go to the Bijapur, let's go to the Kolhapur because he sends a business over there. So that responding to a change is important than following a plan. Okay, that is what the Agile is all about. Now, how much time you spent there? Around 1 hour. I didn't knew that I could do a 1 hour speech. But anyway, I'm here. Any question? This is the last slide I'm going to put it across. And any questions so far? And feel free to ask the questions, not just from this topic, if you have any industry related question, because I am more of an industry focused person or coming from that background, not from academics. Slide is, I don't know how much is there. Okay, I will not take too much of time. I know that you guys have kind of lost interest, but I'll quickly run through this slide and then I will pause for a moment. So this is all about Scrum methodology, how the Scrum team works. This is the team. Okay, generally Scrum team is recommended to be at one place. Now, due to COVID in last 2 years, everybody is differently. Some of the team members are in US, some are in Europe, so distributed team. But generally it was recommended to have an interaction, like a manifesto, what we say, it's more of an interaction rather than having a documentation and the rules, right? So all need to be co-located. These two people are differently colored. Okay, they have a special role to play. One is called a Scrum Master, another is called a Product Owner. And the red ones are the team members. Okay, every Scrum team has a role, that Scrum Master, who's kind of a lead, who solves the problem of the team members. The team member might have a problem that, hey, I'm not able to log into application, my password is expired, that reset the password, hey, I don't have a .NET version, licensed version, get in the .NET licensed version. He says that, hey, that other team member is not responding to me, he should solve that. Scrum Master role is to solve the impediments what the team is getting into on a daily basis. Product Owner is a customer focus. Example, like a OTA, online travel agency. Okay, now last 2 years the flights were closed, hotels were shut. What Make My Trip was doing, what Expedia was doing, they had to live with the business, right? The product owner has to come up with some innovative ideas during those periods.
how can I make my product to have some kind of a revenue generation. Product owner's duty is to understand the customer problem and sense where is the business opportunity is there, and those requirements he should give it to the Scrum Master and the team members. And the team members is basically a technologist. One may be a database guy, one may be a DevOps person, another may be a tester. That is how the team is formed. Okay. Now, these are the product backlog. Backlog are the row of information. You heard of a tool like a Bugzilla, Jira, these kind of tools, right? In those backlog, we add a product information that I want to have a flight as a portal. I want to have a hotels as a portal. I want to have a flight for us hotels as a product line. Okay, these are the backlog items. You cannot address all the backlog items in one day. You need to run a sprint cycle. That sprint cycle called every 2 weeks, every 1 month. The sprint cycle is run. Okay, so this is how the projects are run. So you cannot build a website basically in a 1 week period, right? You need to know that what needs to be built first. Before student login or before student information, what you need to build is basic static website where any users can come to the website, scrape through the document or scrape through the website, understand your college photos, understand the profile of a faculty. That's basic information. Over next week, what you need to build a student login. Once the student is able to log in, they will be able to see their attendance, they will be able to see their marks, internal marks, how much they have scored in each semester. That information will be available. And then third week you will build a faculty login. Faculty login where they will get to see their salaries, how many class they have taken, what is their timetable, how is their schedule, when the examination is to be conducted. So you have to build the application over a period of a time. But does that mean that you will release the application after 3 weeks? No. You need to release the application every week. This week you have released the application as a website. Next week you will release the application as a student login. Third week you will release the application as a faculty login. And that's exactly is the Agile. Okay, and that's exactly is the Scrum model says. That do a sum, do not build entire application to go to your customer. Build a small piece, whichever is the lowest minimal available feature, build that first, go to your customer, ask their feedback. Based on the feedback, revise your backlog items, refine it, and then go to the next week. Next week again release it. I'm just taking a week as an example. Generally, in 1 week you cannot build anything. It at least takes minimum 2 to 3 weeks to build a small feature as well. Okay, even in the practical scenario. So 2 to 3 weeks they will run a cycle and then build and release every feature in every 2 to 3 week cycle. That's how is the basically Scrum model. But whereas if you do this in the waterfall model, what happens is that they will release the application after 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, you go and say to the customer, hey, this is the product. And then he says that I never asked for student login. Did I ask? No. Where is that? And then you will say that no, you told me that documentation, you mentioned the student login. Oh, is it so? I forgotten because I have given it 5 weeks back. So this is how the debate happens, where you might build unnecessary unwanted features in case of a waterfall model, and whereas the customer say that no, this is not required for me, and then it goes into a kind of a negotiations or a debate. But whereas here you are involved and engaged with the customer throughout the journey of the project. That is why this is most accepted, most widely used model in the industry. यहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत ऊंच नीच चलता है, मतलब adjustment होता है. Okay, what adjustment you do is that some people run a scrum meeting every day. 15 minutes we meet it. That's a time bound. 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes meeting has to happen in a day. But generally many companies, you might have heard some of your relatives or friends or siblings working in a software company, they say that my half of the time goes in a meeting, okay, and I don't get a time to work, and that is why software engineer life has become 10, 12 hours, 13 hours life, right? It's not a 9 hours work, okay, because most of the things have now turned into a kind of meetings, discussions. Sometimes they are overloaded, which is not required to happen, and hence Scrum recommends that only 15 minutes meeting per day, solve your problems, get to know what you need to do it today, and then again get tomorrow what you need to do tomorrow. So that is where the Scrum Master plays a crucial role of arranging this kind of an orchestra. This is kind of an orchestra every day happens. And some people are resistant to having a Scrum because it is like running a mill. And they say that ये daily pressure रहता है Scrum होने के बाद. Waterfall में क्या है? हाँ मुझे एक महीने के बाद डिलीवरी करना है, मैं लास्ट में सैटरडे संडे जैसा एग्जाम देते हो, tomorrow is an exam, you work it out night out and then pass tomorrow exam, right? So some people feel Waterfall as a comfortable because they think that okay, after 1 week, 1 month I have a delivery, I will sit in the night out last 2-3 weeks and then I will finish out, but let me relax today. But in Agile that doesn't happen. Every day you have a tight schedule. Rather than saying a tight schedule, defined schedule. You have a defined disciplined schedule which you should do running. I said that was the last slide. I do have one more slide. But I'm not going anywhere here. I'm not going to explaining it. I'm just keeping it on the slide. At least ask me 2 questions for my benefit or for my satisfaction.
So this agile and prototype models are the same, right?
Sorry?
So this model and the prototype model, they both have similar characteristics.
They do, but in the prototype what happens is that you just do a one prototype. Say for example, something called a MVP, there is a minimum viable product. Okay, that's called a MVP, stands for minimum viable. Take an example of a Agile. They made a working scooter, they know what battery needs to be contained, what is the power of the battery, and then they ran it on a small vehicle chassis, maybe a Bajaj scooter or a Luna. They ran it and it worked well. That was the prototype they did it. But did they do it in Agile that every week they did not release a model, right? So it was one model, they did it on a one existing chassis, and that prototype worked. They know what power of the battery, how it needs to be connected. Then they started doing the entire design. This is in the manufacturing sector, right? That's kind of a prototype. What is the difference in Agile is that every week you are releasing something to the product line or the go live date. So everything you are every week or once in 2 weeks you are bringing something live to the customer. That does not happen. Right? One time prototype and then big bang launch.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the last slide. I'm keeping it. These are our customers and these are the technology what our company works. And thank you guys for your time. And here around, if you have any questions, reach out. Our office is basically in 21st Gate. So any of you want to visit our office, you are more than